to meet you. So join the animatronic family. We open real soon. Try your best to hold on to sanity. Come get to know me, and you won't want to leave after tonight. Down here we're lonely, and we would love you to join us for a ride.
Alright, what's up? Alright, we got the spooky month. It's October. Alright, we got our first FNAF and Naruto fan fiction. This one's I'm getting all these fan fictions from fanfiction.net. This one's called Naruto and Five Nights at Freddy's X Over by let's see by Leonis. Alright. I'll probably give like a link or something, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, chapter 1, night 1. A warm welcome. Sakura sat back in her chair. It was a rather plain but comfortable rolling chair in the middle of a rather cramped and stuffy office. In front of her was a desk that was covered in trash and papers and old trinkets that were probably left behind by the shift before her. Seriously, these people were slobs. There was also a very odd-looking cupcake with eyes on it. Creepy. The office she was sitting in was the security office of Freddy Fazbear's Ramen Palace, a place that was in a small village in a small country. It was apparently a famous place among the locals for its food, entertainment in the shape of strange animal-shaped puppets, and its dark history. Apparently a few murders happened around this place. The management was apparently still trying to deny it, but it was talked about everywhere. Strangely enough, that didn't stop people from coming by or apparently breaking in, which is why she was here. The management decided to stop being cheap and so issued a C-rank mission to Konoha to guard the place at night from midnight to 6 a.m. Normally, she would scoff at this kind of work, but she could be instrumental in stopping a murder, so when Tsunade had asked her to take it, she took it. Besides, if things were as slow as she figured they would be, it would give her some time to study a few scrolls Tsunade gave her. After all, she was only a year 2 into her apprenticeship. So that means that this is taking place 2 years after Naruto Part 1. So before the start of Shippuden and during the time skip. So alright, that's interesting to know. After all, she was only a year 2 in her apprenticeship. She still had a long way to go to become a medic ninja of Tsunade's caliber. She had it all set in her head. She would just relax, keep her power usage in the room low, and check the cameras every 10 to 15 minutes in order to limit the energy drain. That was a big thing. Apparently the people were so cheap they couldn't get a good generator for night shifts. She only had a limited amount of power she could use, but that was fine. She was a ninja. Not only that, she was a medic. Conserving supplies and stretching things out were her forte. She was just getting settled and about to do her first sweep of the restaurant when the office phone went off. That gave her a jump. Who would be calling her? Before she could even start to pick out the receiver, a voice rang out. Huh? That was interesting. Hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in your first night. Pre-recorded? Very interesting. And very nice of this man. Alright, nice man. I actually worked in that office before you. I'm finishing up my last week now. As a matter of fact, so I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. You'll do fine, so let's just focus on getting you through your first week, okay? Okay, though seriously, this won't be that bad. It seems simple enough. Right, you think, huh? Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. It's kind of a legal thing, you know. Of course, there is something like this. What was that? What was with bigwigs and their legal speeches? Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Ramen Palace. Oh, it's a ramen palace in this one. Okay, that's nice. A magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Of course, they would be figures they would be worried about that. Oh, they wouldn't be. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached. The carpets have been replaced. Wait, what was that last part? Cleaned and bleached? What? Oh yeah, that's crazy. Blah 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 blah. Now that might sound bad. I know. Sound bad? Wasn't that actually bad? But there's really nothing to worry about. The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night. What? But do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too. Irritable? What do you mean irritable? Oh yeah, you'll find out. So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children, and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. So just be aware the characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. Oh, the bite of 87. Markiplier? Bite of 87? What? Yeah, it's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know. Wait, what the fuck they talk about? Now concerning... excuse me. Alright, now concerning your safety, the only real reason to you as a night watchman here, if any, is the fact that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Wait, did he hesitate just there? On the mostly? Why would he hesitate? And how would they think I was an endoskeleton? What is an endoskeleton? Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. Okay. That's bad. Why? Besides being humiliating? Man, see, I don't understand. Just give her a suit to put on for the night shift. You know, it's all good. Besides being humiliating. Now that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial areas. So you could imagine how having your head forcefully pressed down inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask. Heh. Of course. Wait, that's animatronic? Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up. Now, why wouldn't they do that? But hey, first day should be a breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Check those cameras and remember to close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. Alright, good night. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know this would just be about Sakura. I thought Naruto and Sasuke and all them fuckers would be there. I guess not. Well, or maybe we'll find out, you know? Great, just great. Not only does she have to worry about possibly murders and punks, but now she had to worry about the 3 killer animal things that apparently were more than just simple puppets. C rank her ass. This was at least B rank. She sighed to herself and rubbed her eyes with her pointed finger and thumb. Shouldn't be too hard. Just decrease the time between checks to 5 to 10 minutes. And probably no reading the scrolls. Besides, how bad could it be? They were pretty big from what she saw, but the place wasn't small. It could take time to get to her office. That is, of course, if they made it out over there. God, why didn't she ask more questions during that brief tour? She thought they were just puppets that were controlled backstage. But now it seemed they were, what was the word, animatronic and moved on their own? What? Why was she even taking this seriously? It certainly sounded like something too insane to be real. However, she was a ninja. She could read between the lines. This likely happened before, and not just this bite the guy mentioned. Besides, in her career and her time with Naruto, she had seen some insane things as well as seemingly impossible happen. So why couldn't this? After all, if a ship could fly without wings, a puppet could fly. I'm trying to think of what's the reference to that. I don't know. I can't think of what the reference to that is. Anyways, maybe Kizuna Drive. Oh, I know, but that's a Shippuden movie. I don't know. Anyway, a puppet could move without strings, right? Okay, she looked at the clock. Oh crap, she missed a few of her sweeps. She quickly lifted the little viewing screen. That was for the use of the night watchman. It was very nice, like something out of Spring Country. She first checked the show stage, where the three animals were, and froze. "Where's the rabbit?" she asked out loud, and immediately flipping through cameras until she spotted the purple-suited thing in the dining room. It was just standing there, though it appeared to be looking around. Okay, that was weird, so they really could move on their own. She went back over the cameras just in case, stopping at the show stage, seeing that the other two were still here. They're there. Then she set the tablet down. The screen turned off as soon as it was laid down on her lap. Okay. So there was more to this than she had first thought, but she couldn't panic. It was early yet, and despite the clues being told to her, saying that the things could even wander down there, they could randomly wander around. Yeah, it was probably completely random. That made sense, about as much sense as a company that cleaned up after any possible murders before filling in a missing persons report. As company policy, so that was why part of the mission requirements was to see it through for at least a week. She took a deep breath. No, don't get too upset. She needed to keep her wits about herself and stay sharp. She took another breath and started doing some chakra exercises. She would need to focus. She didn't have Sonore's strength technique 100% down yet. Oh, okay. But she would be damned if she weren't at least prepared to force these things back. After a few minutes, she checked the showroom. Both were still there. The rabbit stayed in the dining area. That was good. That became the habit. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna read all these chapters in one video. All right. After a few minutes, she checked the showroom. Both were still there. The rabbit stayed in the dining area. That was good. That became the habit. Sakura would do some exercises, stay calm, and check the cameras. And check the... What's it? Yeah, check the cameras. She stayed around 6-7, around the 6-7 minute mark. The rabbit puppet certainly seemed content with sticking to the dining area and supply closet, with the occasional visit to the beginning of the hall leading to her office. An hour into her vigil, the chicken started roaming too. She seemed to like the restrooms and kitchen, and boy was that chicken loud in that kitchen. It was 2.5 hours in that she had her first close call. It had been mostly quiet. She had been focusing on drawing on her chakra, and she heard it. Quiet footfalls. Footfalls? Why are you calling it footfalls? Footsteps, bro. She was used to the sound. If they had been ninjas, she would place them at high tuning or low tuning. But the only thing here were the animatronics, and those things were huge and clunky. No way they could be quiet. Then the footsteps chopped outside her door. She reached out and hit the light button. Where there, standing in the door, was the rabbit. It was staring right at her, but it seemed frozen in place. Quickly but calmly, she let go of the light button and pressed the one for the door. As it thudded into place, she checked the cameras and noticed that the power output was quite high. Seriously, the door caused power? That was why he warned against their use. All right, it was noted, and the chicken was at the beginning of the hall. She took a breath, set down the screen, and looked at the window on her left. She waited a few minutes and pressed the button for lights. She saw nothing in the window. She pressed the door button and lit up the hall again. Nothing. She checked the cameras. Okay, the rabbit is back in the supply closet, and the chicken. Oh no! She quickly turned to her right and clicked the light button and almost screamed. There was the chicken, almost right in her office. She shut the door. Oh God, it's okay. It still might just be a random thing. After all, they have no one guiding them, and they seem to go away too. So it shouldn't be a big deal. The next 3.5 hours were a big deal. She shortened her break times times between looks to 4 minutes, and she had to close the doors a total of 4 more times. By the end of the night, at 6 a.m. hit, she was down to 5% and was a nervous wreck. Those things have been persistent, especially that chicken. That thing seemed to hate leaving the door once it showed up, but the bunny just kept coming. It wouldn't stay for long, but for 6 total door shuts, he was 4 of them. She would have to handle them better. She had to come up with a strategy when she wasn't in the middle of a cramped room, being pincered by 2 large puppet, animatronic, whatever you call them, animals. Oh God, now that the adrenaline was wearing off, she was tired. Later in the afternoon, after she woke up, she would send a message to her teacher with a report, let her know what was going on. Also, she would have to ask around about this bite of 87. That might be important. Maybe ask more about these murders. But that was for tomorrow. Now was the time of getting back to the room that was being paid for her and sleep. Maybe something small to eat too. She barely had any of her snacks. She was not about to even touch whatever unhealthy crap. Let's see. Where was I? I lost my place. Oh yeah, they served there. That she packed because of how hectic things got. Yep, that sounds good. A light meal, then some sleep. Tomorrow she would be fresh, and with her fresh mind, she would come up with a strategy to deal with those two. Though she had to ask, why didn't Freddy go active? And what was behind that curtain? And what did the camera say it was? Pirate Cove? What was there and what was the pirate? Oh yeah, she don't know the fucking. Wait, no, there are pirates in Naruto. What the fuck are you talking about, motherfucker? Alright. And what were those things really? She would find out more tomorrow. After all, how important? What could that be? Okay, that was chapter 1. Let's see how much time we go. We're going 16 minutes, 55 seconds. All right. We'll probably do one or two more maybe, depending on where we at, and how long the video is. All right. She couldn't believe how popular this place was. It was crowded throughout the building. True, it was peak hours. But it was so different from last night when everything was so dark and empty. Now kids ran around and played little games or chatted while they ate ramen. Some wandered over to Pirate Cove to stare forlornly at the closed curtains. Others stood in the front of the stage where the bear, rabbit, and chicken would sing and move in what she could only guess was some kind of dance. The kids loved those things. Let's see. She stared at those things. The stage they were on was very open, and there was indeed no one there, nor was there the light of shine of chakra threads. They were indeed moving on their own, though she couldn't explain the fact that voices were coming out of them. Then again, she received a pre-recorded coded message, and speaker systems existed. Alright, man, this stuff existed. No, I don't know if it existed back then or not, but I know they had, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know if they had shit like that all the way back then. I do know back then they had stuff like wireless radios and stuff, though. So surely they had this stuff. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, some wandered over to power, blah, blah, blah. Alright, pre-recorded message and speaker systems. Alright, so that was explained. They were also on a schedule, so the recorded lines probably were as well, which was why they didn't say anything last night, which was good. That didn't fully explain how they moved, though, or how these slightly jerky things somehow became ninja stealthy. Then again, it was unlikely anyone could explain that last part. Also, what was behind that curtain? Maybe a quick peek? Sakura, what are you doing here? Not trying to quit, are you? The voice of her guide from yesterday called. One of the day watches. Damn, she was just about to open the curtain a bit. No, not that I could if I wanted to. Contracts and all that, she said, planting a friendly smile onto her lips as she turned around. Oh well, maybe this was a good time to get some more information. Actually, I had some questions about the animatronics. I think I heard them being called. What was that mean? What does that mean? And how do they move? Her guide sighed and then smiled. Some of your questions are likely above my pay grade, but I will answer what I can. Come on, I could use a bit of a break. I'll tell you over ramen. Oh, should they eat ramen? But it ain't Ichiraku ramen, though. Unless Ichiraku works here. Maybe. Anyway, her guide sighed. I doubt it, but whatever. Her guide sighed, then smiled. Some of your questions are likely above my blah blah blah. Okay. She smiled greatly to him and followed. She wasn't a big fan of ramen, but it couldn't hurt to have a bowl if only to be polite. That had been very enjoyable and informative. The ramen here wasn't bad, not as good as home. Exactly. The Ichiraku ramen, but alright, but still not bad. And the watchman was able to answer a fair amount of her questions. The animatronic was a puppet that was made of metal and had a motor of some sort that allowed it to activate and move on its own. It was fascinating, really. However, as far as he was concerned, the basic movements that the animals did on this stage was about what they could do, though they had apparently walked the halls before, or could have. He had been vague then. She didn't pursue the subject since it didn't seem important at the time, though he had also told her how they were able to talk. She had been right. Pre-recorded messages and a time switch. Probably a bit more complicated than that, but it was good to know what I guess was pretty much right. Turns out that there was also a fourth character that had been decommissioned, just out of order. The Foxy Man. The thing was not about to wander around anytime soon, however. The conversation had also brought up the fact that outside food was prohibited, so if she got hungry, she needed to get something from the kitchen, and they would pay attention for her to grab something before shift. Thus, why she now had a to-go box full of rice balls on her desk. She needed at least one hand to work the green lights and the doors. And she didn't want Naruto's ramen heavy diet. The food wasn't bad, but it also wasn't healthy to have a lot of it. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, the phone rang as she started to settle in. Oh, did the guy from last night have more warnings for her? Hello. Well, if you're hearing this and you made it today too, congrats, yay me. I won't talk quite as long this time, since Freddy and his friends tend to become more active as the week progresses. What? It might be a good idea to peek at those cameras while I talk, just to make sure everyone's in their proper place, Oh crap. Her hand jerked toward the screen, but she stilled it and took a breath. That was alright. She had a plan. She wouldn't rely on the screen. She would concentrate and calm down and listen at the halls and use the lights. That's the game plan. You don't even need the fucking the cameras are useless. You just keep hitting the light buttons, and whenever you see one, you shut the door. That's it. Anyway, okay, whatever. They were quiet, but she would concentrate and calm down, listen at the halls, and use the lights. She might check the screen from time to time to check the power and see if anyone was stupid enough to try and break in. But for the most part, she would save power by using her senses. They were quiet, but she was a trained ninja. Well, interestingly enough, the bear himself doesn't come off stage very often. I heard he becomes a lot more active in the dark, though. So hey, I guess that's one more reason to not to run out of power, right? Yes, it was. Want to deal with them as few of them as possible. I also want to emphasize the importance of using your door lights. There are blind spots in your camera views, and those blind spots happen to be right outside your doors. Figured that out already, actually, but thank you. So if you can't find something on your cameras, be sure to check the door lights. You might only have a few seconds to react. More than enough time. Not that you would be in any danger, of course. I'm not implying that. Oh yeah, of course not. It's just gonna stand there and be like, yo, I'm chilling. Was he simply trying to sound reassuring? Also check on the Also check on the curtain in Pirate Cove from time to time. Why? It's decommissioned. The character in there seems unique in that he becomes more active if the cameras remain off for long periods of time. What? I guess he doesn't like being watched. I don't. If the cameras remain off, I guess he doesn't like being watched. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure you have. So he does like being watched because if the cameras go off, then he starts coming out. Whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure you have everything under control. Talk to you soon. Wait, did that mean? What? Oh no! She snatched up the screen and flipped over the pirate cove. The curtain was open and a fox-looking thing was staring out almost directly at the camera. The blood cooled in her veins. She stared at that face peeking out. Then she shook herself out of her trance and flipped over to the show stage. She froze again. Both the bunny and chicken were gone. She quickly cycled through the cameras and found them and set down the screen. Her heart was pounding. She had thought it would be easy. Just listen for the two annoying ones and react accordingly. No, no. It couldn't be that easy. Now one of their friends was going to join in on the fun. Damn it, she had to use the screen now, if only to watch this new arrival and come up with a new plan. She reached out and grabbed a rice ball. She took a deep breath, then a bite. She needed to calm down. She swallowed, then looked at Pirate Cove again. No change. Good. She put down the screen and sent chakra to her ears. She picked up nothing from either hall. Also good. Well, just in case, she checked both lights and found nothing. Only then did she let out a sigh of relief. All right, just have to keep this up. Shouldn't it be too hard? Just use the tablet to check on the fox? Was that what it was? And use her ears and lights for the other two. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, she could do that. Just do things fast and efficient with her control. She could keep a small amount of chakra going to her ears to improve her hearing all night. Just enough to pick up the soft signs of their quiet footfalls, the way she would hear them approach down the hallway. That would save battery to check on the fox really fast and for the lights to make sure they were there or not in case she got distracted. Not to mention the door. She was a little behind on the power usage right now, but she could make up for that, right? Yeah, no biggie. It was 3:30 and things were going smoothly. She only had to close each door once at this point. The animals may be quiet, but they weren't quiet just quite enough. Though she had to be careful, those doors were loud, covered up sound a little too well for her taste. She picked up the screen and took a quick peek at the fox and the rest of the screen. The fox had moved to the shadows in front of the curtains almost an hour ago. He seemed to be studying the camera, waiting. No one had broken in, which was expected. A quick peek at the power showed she had 48% left. She lowered the screen and leaned back in her chair and reached out for another rice ball. They weren't bad and were far better than nothing. This wasn't so bad anymore, yet she was still paranoid. Yeah, the thing still could come out and try to kill her. However, she was in her element. She knew what to do. She had a good plan that was working quite well, it would appear. If she could keep this up for the next few days, then she'd be home free. Even if they upped their game, she was sure she could keep up. She finished the little morsel and picked up the screen again. And time for another Fox update. Heck, huh? Just checking one room really quickly. It was good for saving power. She brought up Pirate Caving and nearly dropped the screen. The fox was gone. Well, it wasn't too bad. They all wondered. She flipped through the cameras quickly to find it. She spotted it in the west hall. It was quickly running straight for her. Now she really did drop the screen. That was when her chakra-powered ears picked the sounds up. Heavy footfalls going at crazy speeds, not ninja speeds, but certainly close. As reflexes honed from training she slapped the door of release, causing the door to close with a clunk. The footsteps got louder. Then a screech rang out. The footfalls stopped and seemed to change to a more skidding sound. Then something heavy and big collided with the door, hard and fast. She jumped and stared at the door. There was silence for several seconds before rapid footfalls started up again. This time they were going away from the door. Sakura gulped and took several deep breaths before opening the door and checking the lights. Okay, he was really gone. Wait, she was getting deja vu. She quickly whirled around and hit the door on the other side. Nothing. Oh well. good. She leaned down and picked up the screen and checked on the fox. It was back behind the curtain, but it was open. She couldn't help but think he looked disappointed. No, it must be her mind playing tricks on her. From the sudden surprise, yeah, she really had to be sure to keep an eye on that fox. He just had to be loud and different from all the rest. Too bad he wasn't blonde. Dang, that's crazy. She's comparing Naruto to Foxy. She lowered the screen suddenly when she heard a sound she really didn't want to hear. Slow, quiet footfalls coming from the hallway, from both sides. They were going for a pincer. They hadn't come down at the same time before. Usually it was one or the other. Yeah. Could be coincidence, but she didn't care. She waited for the footsteps to stop directly in front of the doors before slamming them both down without checking the lights first. She swallowed a lump that was in her throat as she checked Power's code cam. Okay, he hadn't moved. But damn, both doors took a lot of power. She still had a surplus, but she grabbed the bottle of water she had with her and took a long swallow. Then she reached for a smart rice ball and found the box empty. Really? Last night she didn't even touch her food, and tonight she just devoured her stores. Well, that's why she smuggled in the snacks anyway, but she heard the bunny leave. The bunny seems to always come from the left. She opened the door and checked the light. Nothing good. Nothing good. She checked the light on her right. Nope, chicken still staring at her. She let go of the light. She looked at the empty rice ball box and frowned. It must have been the stress and the fact that she had more time than last night to eat, more time to think about eating since she wasn't panicked. Maybe she could get a bigger box next time. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a storage full of all kinds of things the company wouldn't want her having in the building. Things for emergencies like explosive tags, kunai, ninja wire, soldier pills, and snacks. It was the latter was going. She pulled out. For some reason, this was really hungry work as she extracted a bag of nuts. She expected a bag of nuts. Anyway, bag of nuts. That's kind of. Why does that sound funny? A bag of nuts. Okay. She checked Pirate Cove again. Didn't want the fox bomb rushing again. She found herself blinking in surprise. Was the fox singing? Actually singing? But he was decommissioned. His dialogue shouldn't even be on a timer, let alone time to play this late. And again, he shouldn't be on at all. But sure, it wasn't an impressive song. More of an off-tune ditty. But she took a glance at her power and swore as she turned and checked to see if that chicken was there. It wasn't so opened. She opened the door. Staring at the impromptu music show with the door down had eaten up a bit of power. Ugh, she was really cutting in her reserve. But that was why she had a reserve, for things like this. Still, that had been surprising. She might want to ask about that. However, before that, she would have to survive the night, and to do that, she would have to make sure she properly rationed her power, which shouldn't be hard. She had a good plan that seemed reliable at this point. 33 minutes, okay. By the time her shift ended, she still had 10% power left, and Foxy hadn't made a second run for her. The rabbit and chicken still made visits, but she could easily hear them. It would seem her newest tactic would indeed be her best bet. Just had to refine and stick to it for the rest of the week. Try not to be distracted. Not that it seemed to matter if she was her not. Was it? Not that it seemed. No, whatever. It didn't matter. Okay. Still had plenty of power. Not plenty of food though. That was gonna be a problem. Might have to make sure she had plenty of water too. Less panicking but high stress would probably continue to lead to more hunger and thirst. Not to mention it was rather warm in that back room. Those were thoughts for tomorrow. Now it was time to go to bed. Okay, boys, that was night 2. Okay, let's see how long is night 3. Might just do that real quick. Oh yeah, that's a long ass fucking chat. Oh god. Alright, fuck it. I'll read one more. And then I'll do the next, because I'll do that next weekend. Sakura watched the animatronics as they danced and sang. Even though she was seeing it, she still couldn't believe it. At the moment, all three moved with jerky movements. Night 3. Oh, it's called Chapter 3, Night 3, Answering Calls. Alright. Sakura watched the animatronics as they danced and sang. Even though she was seeing it, she still couldn't believe it. At the moment, all three moved with jerky movements. That was a slight noise as their internal parts squeaked with every move. Their movements seemed very limited, yet she knew that they could do more. She knew that they could be so much quieter. While she never saw them move through the halls, she was sure they were far more smooth with their motions than this. Not to mention the fox, which was supposed to not be moving at all, was able to sing and run easily enough. If she didn't know any better, she would think that they were hiding their potentials. But from who and why? In fact, how could they? They weren't alive, right? No, she was not going to touch that question. But she did have to ask, why did they do what they did? The fox ran. The rabbit stuck to the left in the supply closet. The chicken liked going to the kitchen, and the bear was constantly staying in the back. Why? It has to be something in their programming or whatever they called it. They were each supposed to have a personality of sorts. Maybe she should take the time to learn them. Maybe it would be helpful later. She thought about going to the day watchman that had been her guide. After all, he had helped her quite a bit by now. However, she just felt that he wouldn't be able to help her a lot in this topic. Yeah, for the most part, told her about how they worked, but he didn't seem the type to care about the personalities who they were supposed to be. Instead, she was going to have to turn into the only other real choice, the customers, both child and adult alike. She looked around at the once again packed ramen palace. It might take a while, but she had plenty of time before her shift, though she had to remember to also pick up an extra large order of rice balls. Well, that had been very informative. She had been successful in learning more about the personas of her metal opponents, as well as a bit more what? It's just the sentence is just as well as a bit more. Anyway, first off, it was I guess a bit more about the animatronic. I don't know. First off, it would seem that aside from singing songs and telling tales of his pirating days, turns out a pirate was like a bandit that used boats instead of roads. The fox opened up all his shows by running from his spot in Pirate Cove to the dining area, to the applause and the children and cheers of the children. The reason he stopped, the parents, they felt like he was too creepy or scary for the children. The fact that he had several exposed metal parts didn't help. The irony was that the kids loved him, exposed parts and all. The others were far more obvious. The bunny was an advocate for safety and care, mostly cleaning up messes, making sure instruments were in tune and the stage was clear. Those kinds of things. The chicken was a party girl. No, it was seriously portrayed as a she. She liked to eat, sing, dance, and have a fun time. Those facts easily explain the routes they took and why they stuck to certain rooms. What was more was the bear. According to what she could gather, he was the leader of the band. He was also the announcer. He told people when the parties were and when one of the acts was about to start. If she didn't know that it was all programmed, she would have thought he coordinated all the acts and the schedules. That might explain why he hadn't come after her, though it wasn't his job to get her, just make sure the others did. Or maybe if the warning she got last night was true, get her to waste power so he could get her with ease. On top of all that, there had been a second generation of these things. The current ones had actually been replaced by models that were more child-friendly, cleaner, and had the ability to recognize criminals, as well as the ability to walk around. Turns out that the current ones had actually received an upgrade when the newer models in the location they starred in went under. It had included a vixen that was to replace the fox. It hadn't been near as popular as the male counterpart. Poor thing had apparently been left at the mercy of merciless children to do with as they please. As of now, the new models, all of them, were gone. At least she hoped that meant no nowhere near the building because she did not want to deal with more killer machines. Oh, is that foreshadowing? Okay, she sat down with a sigh, setting the large box of rice balls into 2 bottles of water on the desk and picking up the screen. A quick check showed that nothing had moved yet. She sighed lightly as she leaned back in the chair. It was time to get through her third night. She shouldn't be too hard. She had a working plan. Sure, it would only be the second night she had used it, but unless something big changed, it should still work. Thinking of change, unless she missed her guess, the phone should ring. Right about the phone started to go off. There we go. Hello, hello. Hey, you're doing great. Most people don't last this long. Oh, really? It hadn't been that bad. I mean, they usually move on to other things by now. I'm not implying that they died. That's not what I meant. Uh-huh. Sure it's not. Anyway, I better not take up too much of your time. Things start getting real tonight. Bring it. I mean, yeah, bring it on. Believe it. Okay. I'll leave you to it. See you on the flip side. Yeah, you funny motherfucker. Alright. She was not sure how to feel about that last part. On the one hand, it sounded like bad advice that wouldn't change her situation much. Then again, the way he said it made it sound like he tried it before successfully if he was still breathing. Those things did seem to go away with it when it became sick, so maybe it would buy her precious seconds or minutes. Then again, maybe it was best to just not get caught. She gave another sigh and checked on her charges. The fox was still behind the curtains. Good. The bunny and the chicken were already out and about. Well, that was expected, though. The bear was once again staying put and staring at the camera. Wait, what? She blinked and looked at the screen. Yep, it was staring directly at the camera. Well, that was creepy. She flipped back to the pirate and then set down the screen. Chakra already being sent to her ears. She wasn't about to stare at something strange again. That was a waste of power, and she couldn't do that. Not anymore. They wouldn't catch her off guard like that. She reached out and grabbed a rice ball. It was going to be a long night, but she was ready. As she took a bite, she heard movement to her right. They were already making their moves. Huh? She looked down at the screen as she listened to see if the chicken was going to be an actual threat or not. The fox wasn't feeling all that excited, though. In fact, he was still behind his curtain. She nodded to herself and lowered the screen to look. She took a moment to take another mouthful of rice before she closed the door on her right, separating herself and the robotic chicken that stood just beside of it. Then she took a water bottle, opened it, and took a long swallow. This was getting easy. What could possibly go wrong now? Sakura crossed her legs and squeezed as she took another peek at the screen. That damn fox was standing there in the shadows, just waiting. It was 4 in the morning, and something was going wrong. She still had plenty of rice balls and water. However, the fact she had been consuming both in larger quantities than yesterday led to her problem. She really needed to go to the bathroom, and she downed it. She could last 2 hours. She set down the screen and attempted to focus on something other than her bladder, bro. Just piss in the bottle of water, bro. I don't understand. Oh wait, she don't got a dick, huh? That is tough. That is tough. Women. I mean, she could technically still piss in the bottle, though. Huh? No, I don't know. I don't know, man. If they got a top that's wide enough, I don't know. I don't know. Or just piss on the floor. It's fine. You can just clean it later. Piss on the animatronics. It's all good. Oh man, yeah, it's all good. Think about it. If she pisses on the floor, like at the door, then the animatronics will slip. It's all good. Yeah, she really needed blah blah blah. She squeezed her thighs again and took slow, deep breaths. It really wasn't working. The fox had rushed her once earlier and was prepping for the next run already. The other two had also been quite active, coming to her door several times. However, in the last 30 minutes or so, there had been no activity. They didn't seem to be coming close. That upped her stress a bit as the anticipation guilt. That building was not good for her bladder, which had already wanted attention from all the water she had been drinking to fight off the heat and wash down all those rice balls. She didn't want to go while something was waiting for her, like the fox, because she didn't want to risk coming back to find an ambush. She also did not want to leave with something right outside her room. Where was I at? Okay. The second wasn't seeming to be a problem, but the first might be. Then again, the fox didn't stick around at all, so it could come in. See, she wasn't there, then leave to go look for her. She took another breath. She couldn't wait. She would just have to take that risk. With another breath and slow movements, she stood from her chair. Then she put Chakra under her feet and walked up the wall onto the ceiling, crouching down to stick close to it. All that played hell on her bladder, but also somewhat relieved pressure. It was obviously dangerous to leave the safety of the security room. Oh, that's smart. She could just walk on the fucking ceiling. Yeah, and just piss down. It's all good. Then she put Chakra onto her feet and blah 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 from her chair. Then she put Chakra on her feet, walked up to the ceiling, crouching down. Blah blah blah. Even as her body urged her to speed up, like it said, okay, blah, 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 blah. It was probably dangerous to leave safety of the security room, but hopefully being on the ceiling would mitigate the risk. She all but crawled along the upside down surface, moving slow enough to be able to watch out for any lurkers in the hall, even as her body urged her to speed up. As it was, she ran into no trouble and was easily able to drop from her perch and get into the bathroom. She was in such a rush to get into a stall that she didn't even think about sealing the door or a way to keep it closed just in case something wanted to come in after her. But it didn't occur to her until several minutes later, after she had finished her business, calmed down, washed her hands, and refreshed up a bit. Only then did she look at the bathroom door and curse herself. Oh well, it was far too late to worry about it now. If they were nearby, they would obviously know where she was now. She shook her head and started up the wall next to the door, making sure to take a hold of the handle and start opening the door on her way out. Then she got hold of the ceiling. She made sure to open it wide from her grips on the top of the door and slipped through. She let the door close itself as she started down the hall at a fast crawl with both her eyes and ears on standby for any sign of trouble. It was the barest of whispers that caught her attention, the softness of noises like a leaf falling upon the grass several yards away. However, the noise sounded much closer than that. She blinked to herself, thinking that she might have imagined it, but every instinct told her to double check. So she turned slightly and looked over her shoulder. She didn't see anything out of the ordinary, just the dark hallway and the restroom area. Nothing that could have made a noise or startled her. She was about to turn around and continue on her way again, when her instincts picked up something that her brain didn't. Two pinpricks of light in the darkness, almost dead center in the hallway, far too high up to have a logical source. Her eyes slowly adjusted to the darkness as she stared at those pinpricks, trying to figure out what it could be the source. As she stared, an outline formed within the darkness, a large outline, a familiar shape. If she wasn't upside down, she was sure all the blood and color would drain from her face. It was the bear. The bear was out and several feet from her. She almost didn't hear it coming, even with chakra enhanced hearing. Then a jingle started playing, and it began walking toward her. She immediately dropped from the ceiling and ran. Why would you drop from the ceiling, you dumbass? Alright, anyway. She immediately dropped from the ceiling and ran for all she was worth, using all her training and sending chakra to her legs to move out of streets that no civilian couldn't hope to achieve. She quickly arrived at the door and looked over her shoulder to check in on her door and looked over her shoulder to check on the pursuer before entering safely. She could still make out the dark outline of the bear as it made a steady pace toward her, much faster than she thought it would. All it could. It wasn't that it was moving quickly, just that it was beating up a lot of distance, and she remembered just how big the thing was, which meant that not only did it have a strong stride, but a long reach. She quickly slid through the doorway and slammed the button for the door to shut behind her. With a sigh of relief, she pressed her back against the thick slab of metal, and let her knees collapse under her as she started to pant. She was in no way exhausted or fatigued, though. She wasn't anywhere near that. Out of shape. Not anymore. No, this is out of stress and a little fear. All her plans, all her preparations, and all her precautions had meant nothing just moments ago, despite knowing what to look and listen to. Despite thinking she knew what to do, expect every time She thought she had the hang of things. They threw the next shuriken in an arc. She took several minutes to settle her thoughts. No, it was all right. So the bear was extra quiet. That was all right. Just a bit more chakra. It's not like it would be a major drain. Just a pain, especially since the doors were already loud. But that would be no real problem. As it was, she had already started doing so and was sure she were to walk away. She slowly got to her feet and hit the light button and saw no shadow or image in the doorway. Sighing again, she opened the door and double-checked. Nothing good. Then why did something feel wrong, like she was forgetting something? In a panic, she rolled around and hit the light button on the left. Clear. She picked up the screen and went over to Power Cove. The curtains were closed? Huh? And the Foxy was singing. A rather depressed ditty, not so much that sad as dejected. If she didn't know any better, she would think it was sad that when it ran in there, she wasn't around. Then again, if it really wanted to kill her. She shook her head and sank into her chair. God, she needed a rice ball right now. She took a deep breath through her nose and started leaning over to grab one of her remaining morsels, only to freeze as a savory, warm, and salty scent hit her nose. Her eyes turned to where her rice balls should have been, only to find something else in their place. How had a bowl of steaming ramen gotten on her desk? And where were her rice balls? How did this happen? The only ones that were supposed to be here with her were the animatronics, and while she had seen them move and was sure they could do a lot, getting a bowl of ramen from the kitchen and placing it on the desk without any mess did not seem like one of those things. Not to mention that she hadn't gone that long. There was no way she hadn't been gone that long. There was no way they could have shown up there, seeing she had been gone. Decided to change her food, gone to the kitchen, prepared for, or at least reheated said food, and then brought it back there before taking away what was already on the desk before she returned. There was no way, nor was there a reason. Why would they do it? It made no sense, unless they were much smarter than she gave them credit, and they were trying to set her up. Ramen needs 2 hands, and to protect herself, she needed at least one. Not to mention you had to give ramen your full attention, or it would get everywhere and burn you. Was that it? Was this a trap, or was she simply overthinking things? Her stomach growled slightly. How was she even hungry right now? She looked at the time and groaned. She still had around an hour and a half. She groaned again. Made sure she had enough chakra going to her ears. Got another Fox update, and then picked up the bowl of ramen to start working through it. She was hungry, and you shouldn't waste resources. As it was by the time she clocked out, her nerves were frayed, despite how behaved her charges had been. Seriously, had barely walked down the halls. The Fox had barely peeked out his curtain, and that bear didn't even come close to her again. Or at least she didn't hear him come close, but she would have though, right? Ugh. She was going to have to be extra careful, time things here closely, and maybe pay attention to cameras a bit more when it came to that blasted bear. No, she had to calm down. It was all right. She had the power to spare to do that. She was doing very well. Yeah, she was doing very well in that department, though she, anyway, yeah, though she might want to rethink her water intake. Yeah, don't need a repeat of tonight. Definitely don't want a repeat or worse. She shuddered as she made her way to her hotel room. She just had to try harder, but it was okay. She would stay on top. Nothing worse would have or could happen. She had this, right? Yo, this is not bad, not gonna lie. There's some typos and shit, but this ain't that bad. All right, that was chapter 3, and then next video, which will be like it's gonna be like each week, and I'll upload it. So I'll do it for October or whatever. And yeah, so we're on chapter 4, and then yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it. See you next time.